We are back for another episode of the ABJ Podcast, episode 39 with Eric Pinhat. We'll bring him in one moment. Let's get the housekeeping out of the way. First and foremost, right below my mic stand here, bang, right there, Elevation 1470 is reinventing the style and bringing traditional and nostalgic apparel to Frackville and the surrounding areas in Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania. They pride themselves on hometown heritage and community. Elevation 1470 is where the trail begins. You can find them at www.elevation1470.com to find the latest in traditional nostalgic style in Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania. And from now till March, the end of March 2023, if you use the code ILOVE ABJ, you'll get 15% off your entire shop. So go check out that offer code. I have a hoodie coming in soon. It is the Schuylkill Mall hoodie, which if you know, you know, I loved my Schuylkill Mall. It's one of my favorite places to be. So now there's a hoodie I can represent my favorite place of my childhood. But go check them out. Also, links below for myself as well as my guest and merchandise and support. We have a brand new logo out. So I get all told all the time, bro, you look and sound like Kevin Owens, and you look like Kevin Owens and all that. And he's one of my favorites. He's probably my favorite wrestler on the scene right now. So I love it. So we have the new ABJ logo. It's all duct tape, and it looks like the KO logo. So huge thanks to Kai. He's from our Discord. And if you want to join our Discord, the links are it'll pop up in the chat as well as the links below. This week we have the Eric Pinhat episode. Next week, his tag team partner is going to be joining us with Brad DeMeo, then Nathaniel Cunningham, and then rounding out the month with Mary Elizabeth. So we have a lot of great stuff. The entire month of April has been booked. And so there's a tons of ABJ coming at you. The next month we'll actually hit 50 episodes, which is crazy. The audio side, we are really, really close to 700 plays, which is insane because we just started in October. We're 10 subscribers away from, I think, 600 on YouTube. So thank you guys so much for the support. If you are on the audio side, leave 5-star reviews or I'm not gonna tell you to leave a 5. You leave whatever you want, but write something in the comments, as well as Spotify. There is a feature there now. It says what you thought of the episode. You could type in a little message, and I will start reading them out on the podcast. I don't think I got any new ones, and if I did and I didn't see your message, please tell me because maybe I'm just not getting alerted. So I have to go check that out as well. But that's pretty much all I got for the housekeeping side of things. Over the weekend, High Tension Wrestling happened. That was a lot of fun. Huge thank you to them for letting me host. Hosting then turned into ring announcing, and it was fucking terrifying. I hope I did a good job. Everyone said it was fun. So that was another bucket list off my independent wrestling bingo card, I guess, but it was a lot of fun. It is really nice when you're surrounded by friends in a locker room that you could feel confident enough to go try stuff like that while you're having an anxiety attack. Coming up very soon, Pennsylvania Wild. The Goons will be there with Smash Master Wrestling. Let me take that scroller off so if you're watching, you can see the info. It's not what I want. What's happening? I'm clicking everything. Saturday, May 6th, March, Throop Civic Center, 500 Sanderson Street, through Pennsylvania. Doors open at 5. Show starts at 6. All seats $20. Kids under 12 are free. If you go and get your tickets, use code ABJ, you get a discount. I don't get anything for the discount. I chose not to. I want to put all the money back into the promotion because I love them and they do a great job. But use that discount just so people know you're getting it from here. That'd be kind of dope to show my value. But support them and come out to the show and come hang out. So without further ado, let's get this episode 39 started with one half of the Diamond City War Machines. One of the people of this tag team who have been like, they put me under their wing. No Eagle reference there at all. And guided me through this business. They're amazing people. They're someone you always want in your locker room. He's the guy who taught me when you show up at a show, even if you're not booked, just do anything needed to help the show get done smooth. And whether it be sound, whether it be helping fix broken rings, whether it be photography, this guy does it all. And he can lace up some boots and beat some people's asses. So he's definitely a role model of mine in this business and somebody I love. So I'm going to bring him in without further ado. Eric Pinhat. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man? That was one heck of an intro. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, dude, you are like, and I mean it all. And I think you've probably been mentioned. You and Brad have been mentioned on my content more than everybody on the channel, because of those reasons. I've had tons and tons of heart to hearts with you and conversations, and trying to navigate this thing of becoming a content creator, entering a pro wrestling scene, and if you're not careful, man, you can step on some landmines, and this business can eat you up and chew you out. And I think a lot of that I got to navigate better. I mean, I still had my trip ups here and there because I'm a psycho, but like a lot of it, my navigation through this business has been because of you, because you're like, hey man, just be careful of this, don't stay away from that, do this, try this. Hey, they need you to do this, just go do it. You got it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's been you a lot of my wrestling career, helping me out.
Thank you. Well, that's the example I want to set, and that's kind of why I'm still doing this, is to set that example for the younger people, so that when they're the older guy like me and you are around for a while like me, you guys can then set that example for the next generation, because the generations like mine and before didn't have shit like that, and it sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. It's not just wrestling. It could be the music scene. It could be really anything. When people are in an industry, they become bitter. They become jaded. They become, I got screwed over, so I'm not gonna. No one extended the hand for me, so I'm not gonna extend the hand to the next person. And I'm sure we'll talk about in your journey that has happened plenty of times. What makes someone like you try to change the culture and try to say, I'm not gonna be that person?
I realized it was a big part of why I didn't succeed, is not having a support system behind me to not only tell me what I was doing wrong, but to encourage me to do things right. Um, so by the time I learned all of that, it was kind of too late. So I'm trying to get these young kids while they're younger and get them into good habits before it gets too late. You know what I mean? Makes sense?
Absolutely. What would you say is some of the biggest things you can just at the top of your head, that things that you can get caught up in this business and try to navigate yourself around?
Um, like what? Like you mean things you shouldn't do?
Yeah, or things just to be mindful of.
It's really hard to nail down things like that because it's situational based.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like the old mentality was to come in, shut up, do what you're told by the vets, and you know what I mean, and get your ass beat basically when you were working with them. And I fell into that for a while because that's how you're trained, is that's how it is. And then one day it's like, wait, no, it doesn't have to be this way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But really hard to nail down like specifics off the top of my head on what you should or shouldn't do. Um, but if you have like a situation, or if somebody ever, any one of the young kids ever has a situation, I hope they all know they can always come to me and I'll try to help my best.
Yeah. And you're one of those veterans too. If someone comes to you and be like, hey, I'm being disrespected or I'm being treated wrong, you are, and this is another reason why I love you guys, is you're not afraid to be like, yo, you'll go to that person and be like, yo, chill with that shit. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason that has to be that way. And I've seen you not go toe to toe, but I've seen you stand up for yourself. I've seen you take situations where somebody in the locker room like, there's no way I would say that to that person, and you're like, yo, what the fuck's up with that? Like, why was it done like that? You know what I mean? I'm not saying that you're causing problems, but you're speaking up when at the proper times.
Yeah, that's I'm always the guy who speaks up. Pretty much, I kind of say that I say what others are thinking, but they don't want to say, is kind of what I do. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's bad.
Amen.
That's me. One recent scenario I can give you on that first question. So there was a show and there were some young wrestlers sitting in the crowd. They weren't trying to encourage the crowd to cheer and boo. They were heckling their fellow wrestlers, and that's not cool.
Okay.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like you
Mm-hmm.
heckle. Like if somebody botches something, you shouldn't, as a worker, if you're sitting in the crowd, you should not call that out. You see what I'm
Oh,
saying? And
real?
they were
That's what
doing.
was happening. Oh shit. Yeah, that's
I don't
not
know if
good.
it was exactly that. I don't know if that's exactly what they were heckling, but I know I said something, and a couple of other people told them, "Hey, don't do that. It's okay to sit in the crowd and
Yeah,
encourage
be
the
part
crowd
of
to
the
cheer or
crowd. Help,
boo,
help, help, helping
boo,
engage the experience.
but it's not cool to put your essential coworkers down."
Yeah. No, totally. That does suck. Um, But yeah, so how did you get involved in this insane business? I know your story has come up bits and pieces here through other people on the podcast, but how did you get involved in this business of professional wrestling?
I mean, what really made me want to do it was watching Hogan and Bundy in the big blue cage, but I never thought that it was actually possible to do anything like that. Some friends in high school were backyard wrestling, so I started doing that with them, and it was dumb. We did a lot of crazy stuff. But we were at an ECW show, and there was this group called VCW passing out flyers at the ECW show. And being the, offensive teenagers that we were, we took their flyers and threw them on the ground and stomped on them right in front of them. Not thinking anything of it. A couple months later, we had completely forgot about it, and we saw this place was offering pro wrestling in Wilkes-Barre. So we walked in, and sure as shit, it was those same guys who we stomped on their flyers right in the face. We had forgotten about it, but I don't think they did. But they still kind of, welcomed us in, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
So you essentially started with the backyard crew and then transitioned over to becoming trained through that process.
Yeah. So at the beginning, like that VCW thing, it wasn't like fully trained professional wrestling. It was like a step above backyard wrestling, but a step below fully trained wrestling. It's kind of like a gray area.
Yeah.
And then when that got shut down because we were running shows without a license that were actually drawing more than the indie shows in the area, then that got shut down. So we ended up in the original Backbreakers. My training class there was with Justin Glory, who eventually bought Backbreakers.
Oh, so you were part of Justin's introduction too?
I was there for Glory's first bump.
Holy shit. That's pretty cool that you went from that to then watch the guy take over the company and essentially start another revolution of indie wrestling,
Yeah, it was me and my old tag team partner, Kevin, and Glory were the three main students. And then Draven Blaze, he wasn't like actually a student, but he trained with us a lot.
Interesting. Yeah, JS Michael says, we still love you anyway, VCW, VCW, VCW.
It was that VCW thing, like we sucked. We were terrible. But that wrestling family that I built then, that we built, I should say then, is still tight today. And I wish that I could find a way to do that for indie locker rooms.
Is bring people together.
When I tell you your family or call you brother, like a lot of people knock that and they're like, oh, it's stupid, it's silly. I mean it because I have it, and you know what I mean, through wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know it can be achieved.
Yeah.
So like, I call you that, I mean that shit.
It does seem very, very cliche, and I know we always make jokes when the meeting starts by saying like, "Oh, I would take this locker over." It's always a joke when this team meeting's coming, and people are very lighthearted about it. But I will say, when it comes to the Northeast wrestling scene, when you go to a place like Sanctuary, or you go to a place like Smash Master, or you go to a place like High Tension, and I'm not just putting them over because they're friends, but they're like that's our family locker room. And when other talent come into the locker room, they definitely see the change. They see the difference. They see the like, because they're welcomed in. You know what I mean? I've been other promotions, and I've been very fortunate that for the most part I walked into good locker rooms, and I've been around other good locker rooms, and I try to bring that feel from what I've learned from where I've come from to those locker rooms as well. But it's way different. When someone who
start at Smash too. I saw it start at Smash last month when we didn't have a ring 4 hours before bell time, and everyone pulled together and put that show on.
I've never seen so many talent put together one ring. It was insane.
The beginning of that.
Yeah. And it was because someone didn't want to be part of that community that we thought they were part of the community with us. And they essentially created a fire that, which is going to be not a problem. No, me neither. But I think it was done underhandedly to be like, hey, we're going to shut this down. And all they did was create a stronger locker room. And
yeah,
thank you.
100%. What it was, remember that old mentality that I was just talking about that was bullshit? That's that's literally what happened there. It was the old pro wrestling mentality. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to take over the territory, and it's nobody else is going to be there. Like that's what that was. And
I hear that and I run. I turn coat and I run. If I walk into your locker room and you say I'm going to take over this entire scene, I don't want to be part of that. I love when promotions work together. I like when you go to a show and somebody new comes in the door and they're like, "Hey, I work for this promotion." You're like, "Oh, cool. This match is now a version of what that promotion does here." You know what I mean? Like this match is sponsored, or this match is a showcase of this promotion because this person's a champion there. I think that's a cool way to put over another promotion and build those connections and community. I don't know. I love it. I like when promotions do stuff like that. I like when promotions get together and work together. It costs a lot of money to build a territory and to get fans in that territory to come and realize that professional wrestling is there. So if you're running the following weekend as me as a promoter, I would be like, thank you for dumping money into this scene as well. Because you're helping build. Now you may go and shit the bed and put on a terrible performance, but I know my locker room is going to be good and my shows are going to be good, but you're essentially helping me grow an area, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's the way pro wrestling used to work. It was all about me instead of all about we. And it's still there's still a lot of that around, but not as bad as it was. The way I kind of look at it is, if we succeed, then I succeed, and all of the eyes in that we succeed. Yeah. But if you're undercutting to try to succeed, that's not going to work. And
now
what happened there?
You kind of talked about. Oh, sorry, there's a little bit of delay. I apologize for stepping on you. Now you said a while there, like you said, you know, you're very passionate and you love what you do, and I don't want to word this wrong and make it sound like it's a negative, because it's totally not. But like, you've been around a very, very long time. And you said like you felt a lot of your success probably didn't happen because you got stuck behind that nonsense. How do you approach entering this field, this craft, and keep that balance between I love what I'm doing here, I'm chasing a dream, but also like maybe I'll never make that big step, but watching your peers around you do that. How do you balance that mentally?
I mean, it's easy. I accepted a very long time ago that my time had already passed and there was no shot at that. But that doesn't mean that what I have isn't pretty damn cool. I mean, you've got kids like Gavin, who I didn't know Gavin, and he drew a picture of me on his own time at home with his father in his own house. And they do that for everyone. So while I may not make it to the big stage, things like that make it still worth it. Things like helping out the young kids, you know, after their match, they might be feeling down or whatever, they mess something up, and just trying to bring them back up and seeing them come back and get it next time. Things like that make it worth it. It's the dream was initially to make it, but now the goal is to have fun and help people. Follow.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally get it. Like, and that honestly, man, like when and that's kind of why, like, maybe one of the things that I had to stop doing is worrying about other people, because that definitely is a trap I fell into, especially in the content creating space. Like, I would walk into a locker room and be like, hey, I'm here as a content creator, but I kind of put my banner down as a content creator because of advice you have given me, have Brad have given me, that Pete has given me, and be like, no, when you're here, you fly the banner of the promotion you're working, you're being brought in under that promotion, whether you're being paid or not, and do whatever it takes to make the show good and make everyone around you as a team experience. And then you do that, and then you watch another content creator come in and they only make it about themselves, and you're like, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? And then I get pissed, you know what I mean? But that, honestly though, but that's, I wouldn't trade that, because I do like coming into a locker room and saying, I'm not ABJ, the ABJ podcast. I'm Anthony Blackwell, part of Smash Master Locker Room, are part of High Tension Locker Room. I'm Sanctuary, and I'm here, and whatever I can do to help make a show good, I'm going to do that. And then you bring someone like a BP along who has the same mentality, and he's like, well, whatever you need, I'll sweep a floor if I need to be, whatever gets the show in and out of the building, and it goes without a hitch. And just you instilling that into us, because that's what you bring to a locker room, is I absolutely love that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm never going to be the best wrestler on any show that I'm ever on, but I've found other ways to make myself valuable.
Follow? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we've talked about it before in the show.
I'm not going to be the best either.
Yeah. I always said, like, if I were to start a promotion or if I was part of a promotion, I'd book you and Brad every show. Even if you're not gonna wrestle that day, I would love to have you in the locker room because of what you guys bring to the table. You guys are locker room leaders. You're there to be like, hey, agenting match. Like, honestly, if the day ever came where you're like, I don't want to wrestle anymore, I would hope you would stick around the scene and help agent matches or help people put their matches together or help storylines or help whatever that may be. Because I feel like you guys do bring so much to a table, whether it be that or taking photos or helping. Like, I've seen you help wrestlers, I've seen you help photographers, I've seen you help Brian become a sound guy. Like, I've seen you go to a show and a ring completely fall apart and you're like, we need this, this, and this. I already Googled it down the street at Lowe's. We can buy it. We can get it together. We'll make it work. I've seen you completely save shows that, and no fan standing outside before they came in even know any of that happened. And then you come out and do a show and then leave and realize that you never asked for the acknowledgement. You've never put the cape on and said it was all me. I did it. This would have never happened without me. You just do it and leave, and then you go on to your next gig. And I really respect that about you.
Thank you. I hope the young kids see it, and I try my best. Again, that it seems like that's all I'm saying, but that's really what I'm trying to set is that example, is for them to learn that and make themselves valuable. Learn, like, literally the only thing I've never done in wrestling is ring announce.
It's terrifying.
That's literally, yeah. When you were making your intro, I was like, oh, he's got one up on me.
Yeah. I found out 15 minutes before door I was doing it, and I was like, I'm gonna fuck this up. But I guess I did well. They said I did a great job. It was a fun experience. I mentally shut off. Like, I just went numb and just everything went into blackout mode, and I just went with it. And then by the main event is when I slowly like came back to, because I was like, oh, okay, I'm good now. But I don't remember much of the show. But I remember, like, what I do remember is that I had a fun time.
Just be this guy that's on the podcast and you'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, I do remember the first 2 times I went out there and I tried to get excited with my voice. Instead of letting the microphone do its job, I tried to go louder and my voice cracked and I squeaked. And I literally made the joke, well, it is a 90s themed wrestling show, so I'm going through puberty again. That was my joke, and everyone laughed. Yeah, so saved it. Yeah, man, but it was,
like, be yourself with stuff like that. Like, it's easy to be yourself, and I'm going to use myself as an example. There's a reason there's no character for Eric Pinhat. It's because I'm not good at playing a character, but I am good at being myself, and that's who you see in the ring. So yeah, it's turned up a little bit for the situation, but I'm good at being me, so that's who you see in the crowd or in the ring when you sit in the crowd.
How did the term or the character or the name of Eric Pinhat come about? So you haven't really done it, I would say, in a couple years. You like the pin hat has not shown up in a while. How did that start and why did it end?
So the reason I don't wear it anymore is because everyone pretty much knows what it came from. And it's really heavy and annoying. So that's why I don't wear it anymore. But
I'm always afraid I'm going to lose pins. I freak out because the pins are expensive.
Yeah, though, I mean, the pins that were on the original one, they were old, but they were like sentimental value things. So definitely bug me if I lost it. I used to give it to like Sandy when she'd sit ringside and be like, here, hold this for me until I'm done, because I don't want to lose them. But how it started was I used to go to a lot of hardcore punk shows, and back in like the early 2000s, there was this dude who would bring big plastic bins of pins, and you just dig through them, buy one, buy two, and put it on my hat, put it on my hat, put another one. Eventually, my whole fucking hat was filled with pins, and somebody called me Pinhat, and that's where it started from. It was not wrestling. It was not a wrestling nickname. It just kind of became a wrestling name. But yeah, that's where it came from.
What's one of your favorite pins that you still have?
I have a Space Jam Michael Jordan pin from when I was like 7 or 8, whatever year that movie came out, and also a Joker and Batman '89 pin from when they first came out. They're actually from childhood. They're not like repurchases. So those are the.
Yeah,
they're not on the hat. They're not on there anymore.
Yeah. Now you are a giant. I'm gonna bounce around a little here from wrestling to this because now you got me. I love the pop culture.
Stop you. Go back to real quick. I'm gonna stop and go back to the Pinhat topic. So at
Okay.
one point in time, there was a time where if you pushed a pin on my head, I could tell you which one you were touching.
Really?
Yes. I knew where they were on the hat, and if you pointed at it and like pushed it in, I could tell you which one it was.
Well, the chat has already acknowledged what's about to come next. Billy the Converse kid, who does the intro and outro music for all of my stuff, says, me over here loving the Turtles collection. Yes, you do have one of the greatest turtle collections. I would say Turtles, besides professional wrestling, the Ninja Turtles were probably my first love. If when I was a kid, I collected two things, and it was wrestling stuff and Ninja Turtle stuff. So were you comic book turtle fan, or were you like myself? Because I was born in '86. Turtles were already out a couple years before that. But I was the cartoon Turtles got me into Ninja Turtles. Where did your love and where did your falling into this TMNT start for you?
So it was the cartoons because it was free and we were poor, so I wasn't getting any of that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's essentially where it came from. If I could have been a Ninja Turtle instead of a wrestler, I definitely would have been a Ninja Turtle.
Same. How big is your collection? I know, so that if for those who can't see at home, it goes all the way back to that back wall, and then it shoots all the way down the wall that's there. It's all shelves and it's filled with stuff.
So there are 6 foot tall shelves that are like 2 feet wide, and they're filled, but not all with TMNT, but a majority is TMNT.
Yeah. And if you do go to his Instagram, and I believe most of his social media, he does photography, as we talked about before. He does wrestling photography, but he also does figure photography, and it's really fucking good. Like, you're good at what you do. So if you want to check out most of his collection, it is on his social media, so go follow him. But which turtle is your?
Real quick?
Go ahead. Please do.
But this is one of my most prized action figure possessions. This Hulk Hogan right here.
I had that as a kid.
He's my very first figure. It's the actual original from childhood. He has seen better days, but I won't get rid of him because he's my original.
I honestly, now, like, I'm looking back on it, my first original figure might have been that same exact one. No bullshit. I lost everything in a house fire. So all of my childhood, all of my action figures, everything. So when I see like I had I had most of the original line, the LGN line. I had most of that. I had a lot of the dog toys, like the rubber ones, like the Hogan. I had a Sheik. I had a Macho Man. I had a George Animal Steel. I had a lot of those, but I lost like everything. But probably the biggest thing I collected at the time was Ninja Turtles and then Power Rangers. I had everything when it came to those. But they said in the chat, which is your favorite turtle?
Leo. No hesitation.
You're a Leo guy?
Yeah, no hesitation.
What makes Leo your favorite?
As a kid, I just kind of picked Leo. But as an adult, Leo is the leader. He is the calm, cool, collected guy usually, who tries to set an example for his brothers. It's weird, but think about that. Like, yeah, it's essentially me. I didn't know that when I chose him as my favorite turtle. You know what I mean? I just chose Leo for whatever reason. I literally can't even tell you.
As a kid, I was the Mikey guy. Everyone likes the comic relief. As I got older, I associated myself more with Raphael, the hard-headed drop at a dime type guy. But my favorite, then once I seen him, I was like, oh, I like the Turtles, but he's not my favorite character in the show. I became a Casey Jones guy. Loved Casey Jones. That was my go-to.
Yeah, there's a couple Casey figures over here.
I see your Super Shredder. You got your Kevin Nash up there. There's your wrestling and turtle.
There's 3 of them. There's 3 different Super Shredders up there. This is probably my favorite Turtles figure, though. This guy right here. He's from the comic Last Ronin line.
What a fantastic book that is.
Yes. That's probably my favorite.
If you don't know what The Last Ronin is, that it is essentially a story told years and years and years into the future, where there's only one Ninja Turtle left. The rest of them have died, and there's one left, and they don't tell you until I think the end of the books, first book, second book, that who the last turtle standing is, and then they tell you the whole story how all the turtles died, and then this turtle essentially is having hallucinations or flashbacks of his brother still talking to him, and still like the ghost of him like kind of mentally losing his mind. It's a great book, and if you're a Turtles fan, it's a must read. I hope they actually make that into like an animated or an actual movie.
I would love to see a movie of it.
Yeah, I think it'd be tough because it is kid friendly, but that one's really not.
Right. Yeah, that's why Secret of Use was so dumbed down, is because of kids. And well, I shouldn't say because of kids, because the mom's crying because it was too violent for their kids. The first one.
Mm-hmm. If you besides the turtles themselves, who's another maybe a character of the series that you're a big fan of?
I don't even know. I never put thought into that. Who an alternate character is.
I don't know much about the character, but I was always into the rabbit. But he was like an outside turtle character that then became a turtle.
Where's Usagi? There's Usagi. He's right there.
Yeah, Usagi.
This fella.
Yeah, so he was actually not written for the Turtles comic. He was his own comic, and then they blended them together, correct?
Yeah, I believe that's how it worked.
Yeah. All right, we got nerdy. I love that. That was my favorite. What do you think of the new trailer? Did you see the new trailer of the new movie?
I did. I'm curious. There's a big uproar over April. It's whatever to me. It's like it's the character. It didn't ruin my childhood because they didn't change the original. It's still the same.
Yeah.
And just because she doesn't look the same, they're like people are.
Yeah, she's not a white redhead anymore. She is a person of color in the new comic. But
exactly.
Eastman said when he originally had the idea of April, he wanted her to be African American. He wanted to be black. He wanted her to be black. And she was actually named after a friend or someone he knew named April, and she was a person of color. So it's kind of almost bringing April to what he originally wanted April to be, but now.
Yeah, like it literally doesn't fucking matter. Like, what if?
Not at all.
It's a good story. It's a good story. It doesn't matter what color the character's skin are. Like, I don't get it.
I hope they make
the only thing that'll take some adjusting for me is Donnie's voice is a little weird.
Yeah, so in this movie, they are Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but they're not like 17, 18-year-old turtles. They are like 12, 13-year-olds. Like they're younger. Like, and they have the squeakier voices. Like they haven't hit they're like the Ninja Turtles who haven't hit puberty yet. I'm kind of into that. Like they are still very child mind. Like they're pre-teens. I'm into that. And I think like them kind of going through all, because it's stacked full of villains. There's so many villains in this movie, and they're going to kind of go through these villains. And then I think what they're going to do at the very end, Shredder's going to appear. And then hopefully that leads into the second movie where then Shredder's involved. But I kind of think it's cool. You're going to see, hopefully this is what they do. They make it a long-standing series where the Turtles essentially grow up. Like you watch them become pre-teens to adolescent teens, and the voice actors grow up with them, and like you kind of see the development of the new series. I think that'd be really, really fun.
Yeah, it would. It just depends on that old cash flow.
Yeah, let people go watch it. Please, God, go watch it. That's been a new thing for us. Like we've been going to movies a lot. I've been we drive like an hour to go see movies because we go up to Music. We go up to your neck of the woods.
Why?
Because we have because we don't really have good theaters near us. Like Bloomsburg is good, but I like the Music Theater. I like those leather seats. I like the way it's set up. I like the food. I like just everything about it. You can get in, you can get out. It's nice. I love Music Theater. And then we do the Cinemark Pass where you pay like $10 a month and they give you one free ticket and then bonus for every dollar you spend in like a reward system. So we've been going to see a lot of stuff, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for it. But Turtles and Mario are probably my two like childhood movies that I'm excited for this year when they come out.
Yeah, I'm excited for Mario too. I'll be the only 40-year-old sitting in the theater watching it.
I'll be right there with you. I can't. I think it looks so good. But let's dive back into wrestling quick here. I like that little side tangent. I knew somebody in the chat was mentioning like, yo, look at all that turtle shit. But so we knocked that out.
Literally, that's a prompt. That was a prompt to get it mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, you're collecting it for a reason. You want people to see it. So you said growing up, Bundy and Hogan were your guys. Who would you say if people were to be like, where does if Eric Pinhat got his style or he mimics or emulates on what we've seen as a wrestler? Who were people that you pull from when it comes to your style?
I don't really have a style. I like to keep it simple and tell a story. If that story involves me doing one thing, then I'll do one thing. If that story involves me doing option two, then I'll do option two. You know, so these are like, there's no specific wrestler that I can say I take from. It's just story-based wrestling is what I prefer.
Mm-hmm.
The easiest way I could describe it is like a lot of wrestling today, and there's nothing wrong with the way they wrestle. It's a different flavor of ice cream, but they're working for this kind of pop, and I'm working for this kind of pop.
Yeah, absolutely. People that are driving in their cars now are just swerve off the road.
Excitement. Yeah, this kind of pop is excitement. This kind of pop means they care.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to build them. You want to take them on a roller coaster ride. Like there's nothing wrong with hitting the 450 or hitting the crazy, big spot, but if you can do that and tell a story as you're going, it's a different style, man. Even for commentary, man, when you watch commentary, if you watch a bunch of guys just doing tope suicidas and jumping and flying, it's like, oh, that's cool. But as a commentator, if you can tell them a story as the match goes on, it makes it a lot better. Do you prefer working babyface or heel? Because you guys fluctuate a lot.
It really depends on the crowd, and it also depends on who you're working with to work that crowd. Because if you're a babyface and you don't have a good heel, then being a babyface tonight sucks, because the heel didn't get the crowd pissed off, and it's harder to get that babyface reaction if the crowd's not pissed off at the heel.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the situation on which one I prefer.
Yeah. Converse Kid. So if you guys have questions, please keep them going. But have you ever had a story that you disliked or a match that you were not in? I guess a story that you worked, I guess, that you didn't like.
I mean, young in my career, yes. I don't want to get into specifics on it because I like the people who were in it, but the trainer made us do shitty things and it just wasn't fun, Like that's what I mean. Like one weekend we did a show at the Fernwood Resort. It's now burned down. It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The show was only on Saturday, but the students had to get there on Friday, set the ring up, stay, have everything ready for the show Saturday, wrestle, stay, take the ring down on Sunday and load it back up. The trainer gave us a 3-minute match that day for all that work, and we didn't even get paid. Like, that's how bad wrestling was. So that's like some of the stuff that's some of the stuff that I've done that I didn't like. I don't think I ever wrestled anyone. Yeah. I don't think I ever wrestled anyone like that I generally didn't like or that the story was bad. I don't think so.
Yeah. Is there any matches that stick out for you that will always be some of your favorites?
Yes. So I wrestled one of my old tag team partners, Mike, in his very first match. He wasn't finished training yet, but he was about to get deployed for military right before Christmas. And I had the job of going out there and giving him his first match in front of his family, because who knows if he was ever going to have another match, like he was literally going to Iraq. So there was a chance that he never got to come back. So that will always hold a special place. That was really hard because he wasn't fully trained. First match jitters, you know what I mean? All the shit that was probably going through his head, making it, it was hard to do, but it's always going to be a special moment. I really enjoyed working with Ricky Price and MJ Stacks recently.
Yeah, I was literally gonna say, that match. I'm happy I was on commentary. It sucks that the footage is gone and no one's ever gonna see it, because the camera got unplugged.
I just don't have that. Yeah, I have the footage from my camera because I had a feeling this was going to happen, but I don't have your commentary on it.
Yeah, I have the commentary audio if you want it. But that, I don't want to say it was a torch passing because you guys are far from done yet, but it felt like a torch passing, like, because backbreaker is not a thing anymore. High ground is the new thing. They are the new tag team on the scene, but there's a lot of parallels there, and you guys went out there and put on a fantastic match, and it was cool because I think they're very similar, is that they can go out and work heel one night, then they can go out and work babyface. They can flip halfway through a match. I've seen you guys do that as well, where you start the match as babyfaces, end as heels, start as babyface, like the whole nine. And then you guys went out and put a match on that was it just felt special. And everybody in the building, for the most part, when Ricky comes out, he definitely draws a lot of attention. But I think you guys made MJ Stacks the star of the show, and he got to elevate himself to the same level as everyone sees his partner. And I just thought you took both those talents and put them on equal pedestals. And by the end of the match, even though they won dirty, you were like, we've played dirty before, we respect it. You know what I mean? Like, they won by the dirtiest way ever, but you're like, no, we've played those tactics before. We respect it, young man. Keep doing what you're doing. It was just a special moment in wrestling, and it was a special. I'm literally getting chills as I'm talking about it. It was a great match.
Thank you. And that was the goal, was to get, like, to show people, hey, these guys are legit. You know what I mean? The goal was to elevate them.
Yeah, it was done. It was done very, very well.
Yeah, like when I sit down,
look at that photo. You can't see it.
Which one?
But somebody's in the chat named Ian, and it looks like he's selling real estate, and he has a handshake emoji, because I don't know if he realizes he's on his personal and not his gimmick.
That's funny. Is that in your chat?
Oh my god, I wish I have that photo. I would put that on a t-shirt immediately. Oh my god, that's amazing. I wish you could. Eric cannot see the chat on his phone. But yeah, that, watch it back. You're gonna like it. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Any other matches that stand out for you guys?
So the matches themselves are really what usually stands out for me. It's more of like the experience and the results, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we was a year or so ago, had a match with Little Guido in it, and people were like, oh, you didn't even get to work with him, but he was in the match. And that doesn't matter to me. What he said before the match is what matters to me. And as we were walking out, he goes, hey man, you sound like you have your shit together. I ain't worried tonight. And that means more than anything in a match to me, because somebody who's been way up here validated me that day, and he never was even in a ring with me yet.
Yeah, I have another one, and I feel terrible because I forget the tag team. So maybe you can fill in the blank, because there's a lot of wrestling I've consumed or been at shows in the past couple of years. But you guys were working a match at former Outbreak, now AXW, and your opponents got stuck in traffic and showed up. They arrived late. I believe you guys had less than 10 minutes, less than 5, to put together a match and go out there and do what you guys had to do. But also, there was a moment in that match was supposed to be character building when it came to you, Diamond City, or one of you guys in that, and that meant something to you, and you wanted to make the story, like, you want your stories to make sense. You don't want to go out there and just put a match together. And I remember being backstage, and you weren't mad, but you were disappointed that your opportunity to put together something special wasn't going to be there. The talent showed up, like I said, maybe less than 10 minutes before the match. You guys put something together, but because of your veterans and because what you guys can bring to the table, and because you work a very simple style, you're like, here's what we can do, let's figure it out. And I remember being on commentary, and when the match started happening and then the match went on, and I believe it was like a 10-12 minute match, It was one of the best on the card, and for having very little time to put it together, I just remember it like just saying to like BP after, I'm like, that is the power of Diamond City, and that is how flexible they are as a team and how good they are as veterans, where they had zero prep for this match against really, really like hot young talent coming up on the scene, but not being from the PA scene. So not even a team you could really scout or get ready for. And you guys put together a banger. Like, it was really good.
Yeah, I believe that was pure ignorance.
There it is.
And
pure ignorance. Absolutely.
Like it takes a little bit of time to put the story of the match together. Anyone could put the moves in, but to put them in where they mean something and get this instead of this, that's so it takes a little bit of time. That's why I was bummed. So we never met them before. I forget the exact time, but it was somewhere around 30 minutes before we had to go out there is when they got there. And that is one of the only times you'll ever hear me say, all right, guys, this is what we're doing tonight. Because I realize they are younger and we have very limited time. We also have to stick within a time frame. And usually the younger kids overbook their time frame. So that's one of the only times I will say that. 99% of the time when I sit down to go over a match, I say, okay, so what do you guys want to do today? And I will listen to what they want to do and then figure out how the story works with what they want to do. You see what I mean? But that time, me and Brad had to go like, all right, guys, here's where we're going.
Yeah, it was a great match. You guys killed it. It was done very, very well. When shifting now from wrestling to photography, how did you switch gears and become a photographer for the scene and start falling into that role?
So if you remember earlier, you said, I hope you stick around because you're, you know what I mean? You would like to have me around. That's why I started doing wrestling photography, is because I realized that I can't always wrestle. So I needed to find something that I could do. So way back in the day, I used to videotape bands all the time. I was like, let's try to get a camera and see if I can mock what Johnny G is doing, because he was the guy around here at the time. So I bought a cheap DSLR to see if I could figure it out and get any decent at it. And for 2 straight years, I did not take $1 from anybody. I shot on that camera and taught myself on that camera after Johnny G showed me how to work it. And
so that's what I did for commentary and production. 2 years, I didn't take a dime.
Yeah, once I started getting good at it, then I seriously upgraded my gear. I realized I am a much better photographer than a pro wrestler, but that little kid that sat there and watched that Hogan and Bundy cage match did not dream of being a wrestling photographer. He dreamed of being a pro wrestler. So we're going to ride that bus until the bus crashes. Yeah.
You and there's tons of amazing photographers. I'm not trying to rank or say who's better or who's not. So if your name's not said here, no, please do not take offense, but something about a Eric Pinhat or a Paige Watchy photo. Like if you guys are ringside at a show, I know at the end of the day, that's going to be the promo shots in the back are going to be good. The in-ring stuff's going to be good. Frank Boris is another one. If he's at a show, it's like, oh, you're going to get good shit. And you are just as much of a value as a wrestler as a photographer, but as a photographer too, man, you're top echelon, man. You're really good at what you do.
Thank you. Some other ones that are coming up too that are doing really good. Chio's daughter, Jocelyn, JoJo Photo.
Yes. Chio's daughter was responsible for my logo for Tornado Tag for the longest time. Kit getting suplexed by Adena was one of my favorite moments in wrestling, and she took the photo and it helped me create the logo.
Right, yeah. So she's killing it. Haley's photography, she's doing really good in the area. Brianne Davis is starting to do well.
Yeah. And she has a different style too, where like, because at PPW they kind of, you're not really allowed to be ringside, so she takes them from like the crowd perspective, and I think that's a cool take for wrestling photography where you're not ringside. You know what I mean? So like you have like the shoulder.
To be ringside?
Because I don't think they want to crowd it, and because Frank's ringside, so they take it from like the other side of the guardrail. Yeah. Because they don't want to be like 100 people there. But I think that's a good idea. I think if you have more than one photographer to show, if you see someone ringside, or two people ringside, find another spot. Like work the crowd into your shots. Like maybe someone's hand in the air and then someone taking it. Like I think that's a dope idea for a photography. Nettie does that. She was doing that for a while. Where if she's not doing ringside photography, she's taking photos of the crowd reacting to the matches. I think I think more people should do that.
Yeah, I've been watching her stuff. She's getting better too.
Yeah, like Sanctuary. If I was a photographer at Sanctuary, I would be like, okay, there's enough going on ringside. I'd be walking up on the balcony. I'd be walking up on the stage. I would be playing the lights to the photo, and like, there's so much angles you can get at a wrestling show, and you don't have to be ringside to get it.
Yeah. So the only thing about those other types of photos that you're talking about is you're shooting a high speed, high speed people, I guess, that are moving pretty fast, and your camera has an autofocus on it. When you depress the shutter halfway, it's got to focus.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when you're shooting from that far away, you end up focusing on the ropes instead of the talent in the ring because your camera autofocus there. You can use manual focus, but it's pretty hard to use manual focus when you are shooting a fast moving object. So it's a
good call out. That's why you're good at what you're talking about.
It's tricky.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll be back to photography at some point.
Yeah, I love when you do it. When you're there, I always look forward to your photos. So at the end here, I probably should have ran this by you before we get into it, but if you're not comfortable talking about it, you don't have to. At one point in time, you did have to step away from wrestling. You had a little bit of an accident.
Oh yeah, my good old face.
I know I never really had this conversation with you about this. If you're not comfortable doing, we don't have to. But like, can you walk us through? Like I so two of the things with you and Brad as well is at one point there's two things that you guys have done. Both of you have went through giant weight loss surgeries, like not surgeries, but weight loss progressions where you guys were you're much bigger dudes than when you were, and then now you guys look amazing. You guys are working you guys work hard at your health and what you're doing. And then you also had a very serious injury where you essentially broke your face at one point where they had to I'll let you tell the story, but you guys have gone through a lot of trials and tribulations outside of wrestling that probably maybe you shouldn't even be doing this at some point because of, the obstacles you've went through.
So I cleared it with my doctor after the surgery, and I showed him a video of me getting body slammed, and he goes, and I thought I was done forever. And then he goes, but you didn't look like you were hurt. I said, no, doc, I'm not hurt. My back was a little sore, but my face is fine. And he goes, oh yeah, your face is stronger than it's ever been. So, so I'm good there.
Yeah.
But what happened was I was actually getting myself back in shape to wrestle. So I was riding the bike a lot, riding the bike. And one night I went out, it was dark, and a little kid jumped out in front of me while I was going like 12, 13 miles per hour. So when that happened, he jumped out in front of me, and it felt like the world started moving in slow motion. I had time to think, oh shit, I'm too close to this kid. If I hit the brakes, I'm still going to hit him. How do I avoid him? I've got to crash. So I crashed. And as I'm crashing, I remember thinking, oh shit, if I land on my face, my glasses are going to shatter in my eyes. But I literally felt my glasses, what felt like this going off my face as I'm going to the ground, just kind of like slow motion flying off my face. And then, pow, I landed face first on the blacktop and shattered this whole cheek. So there are 25 screws and 5 metal plates holding that cheek together.
And they're all still in there.
They're all still in there, yeah. How they put them in, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on here.
Yeah, you do have you have a big glare there. It's hard to see, but you do have a really you have a gnarly scar going across, yeah.
Yeah, there's a big scar going ear to ear, and they took my face down to my nose, kind of fixed my skull, put my face back on, and stapled it like you would be watching in a horror movie.
Wow.
I rested.
I would have been like,
later.
I would have been like, can you take photos while you're doing this? Like,
I have.
You have photos of your face off?
Yes. If you ever want to see them, I'll show them to you.
Oh, definitely. Bring them to the next show. I'm very curious.
Yeah. So I had a foot surgery, and the same doctor that did my foot surgery did my face. So I knew he had taken pictures of my foot because he showed me them. So I was like, hey, did you take any of my face? It took me 3 weeks to get him to give them to me, but I got them.
Yeah. So they literally face off. They took your face off, fixed your cheekbone, and then put your face back on.
Yeah, it ain't pretty, but it's expensive.
Yeah, that's crazy. So now, are you worried about like taking a shot or a punch or a boot to where you're previously damaged?
No, this post actually just came across my Facebook from 4 years ago. It came across my memories. So one night we were at the old Backbreakers, and I noticed that a lot of the kids were having trouble with their punches because they were afraid to accidentally hit somebody for real. So what does Eric do? He gets on his knees and he says, punch me in the head and I will tell you if it's too hard to actually hit somebody. What the goal of that was to break their fear of actually hitting somebody. Was it conventional? Absolutely not. Did it work? Yes. But I got punched in the head. I got punched in the head like 100 times that day with a broken face.
Crazy. Yeah. So when you go through x-ray machines, you're all like Terminatored out.
I don't know. I've never gone through anything since I've had it. I mean, I have had dental x-rays and they didn't say anything. Like they know it's in there, but they didn't say anything.
Is it just your cheek or does it go up like in the eye as well, like the orbital?
No, only like the break is like right here. But after they put my face back on and everything healed, I had nerve damage for years. So it traced the whole scar all the way down to my nose, back up to my ear. My whole head, like if I touched it, it felt like I had like a spider sense. It would just tingle all the way and spider web across my head. And then I got COVID and it pretty much went away.
There you go.
That makes sense. I think I had the only positive side effect of COVID.
Yeah. That's insane. Yeah. Could you imagine if I would have flashed photos of your face peeled off on the podcast? You're like, what the fuck?
At my old job where I was working when it happened, there was this lady who was an asshole. And every time she would be an asshole after that, I'd go up to her like, hey, check this out, and show her a picture of my bloody face on my phone.
You should take that photo and put it on a t-shirt and be like, Eric Pinhat, I ain't dead yet. Make it look like an album cover.
Dude, nobody would buy it. It's a gross fucking photo.
I'd buy it. We were just talking about in our Discord the other night of a metal band where I guess like the lead singer unalived himself and then his bandmate took a photo of his body and they made it an album cover. I was like, what the fuck? Some Swedish death metal band. It was It's crazy. I was like, yeah, so anything will be, you could use anything. You could use your surgery photos for like people would buy it. But if there's any other questions in the chat, please get them in, and we'll get them in here because we are wrapping up. Eric, if there's, like I said, you've been around a very long time. I appreciate your time for coming on here. Let's show some love. What are some promotions or some talent out there that people should be checking out or spending their time, or people in the industry they should be showing some love to?
Of course, the homies at Smash Master Wrestling. I was actually going to put that in my links, but I didn't want to overpower you with links. So instead of my own, I was going to put a Smash Master.
Well, the Smash Master is, if you're on my page, you scroll down the companies I work for, and they're like the third one in there, so that people can go subscribe. And please do.
That is home at the moment. Frontier is up and coming. They are working on growing their product, but they do put on pretty good shows. Right now, that's pretty much it that we do. We don't do too much at this time. I'm hurt, so I haven't been pushing too hard. I've been hurt for 2 years pretty much. So I haven't been pushing too hard recently to try to get more bookings because my shoulder's injured. It doesn't affect safety, but it hurts.
Yeah. Real quick in the chat, Marine says, hey, it's Matt's mom. We are at Icons. We met many of his favorites and blew them away around what you knew. I think I missed you guys literally by 20 minutes. By the time you guys got there, we had to leave to go to the other show that I had to get prepped for, but we will definitely link up soon. Matthew Holland in the chat, I definitely we'll get to you soon, buddy, and hang out. John says, do you have any barbecue recipes to share?
I do have barbecue sauce recipes, but no, I will not share them. That's my pride and joy there.
That's another thing Eric does very well. We had we should do that again this year. Sanctuary, we had a cookout maybe one of the shows. It doesn't have to just be Sanctuary. It could be Smash or High Tension. But this summer, we should definitely bring a grill to a show and cook out. And your barbecue recipe was fantastic. That was just a really good bonding experience of everyone just hanging out and do that. It was a lot of fun. But yeah. And anything else out there?
That's why I did it. Yeah, the one at the Sanctuary is literally the reason I did it is because of that family conversation we had earlier. I wanted to cultivate that. So that's the reason I worked on getting that all organized. The Frontier one last year, I was just the Frontier High Tension one. I was just the barbecue guy. I had nothing to do with setting that one up. I was just the cook.
Yeah. John says, I drink it straight.
Yo, I've seen people drink it sitting in the crowd at wrestling shows, like sipping it out of jars. That's
crazy.
It's good, but I don't think it's that good. But I guess those people who drink it think otherwise.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Eric. Please, everyone, check out Eric's links below. Also search Diamond City War Machines. Where can people buy merchandise or anything like that?
You can just see us at shows. We have a pro wrestling tees. But I don't know if there's anything on there. Brad takes care of that, so I don't know exactly what is up there.
Yeah, I have two Diamond City shirts. I have the green and black one, even though it's the Eagle colors. I bought it under protest, and then I have the gray one with the diamond on it.
Yeah, those are the only two that are out. We did just link up with some graphic designer guy, so we are going to be working on new stuff in the future. How far in the future? Beats me. We haven't figured that out yet, but we are working on new stuff. We need new merch. We need new gear. So we are working on ideas right now.
Yeah, we'll definitely show them guys support. Go to your shows, support them, follow them, see where they're going to be out very soon. And we'll we'll see you guys then. But thank you guys so much for the support, hanging out with us. Tons of people in here today. A lot of views, a lot of likes, people showing love on either Facebook or YouTube side of things. Like I said, once again, if you are watching or listening to this, anywhere you find podcasts, Spotify, Apple, the whole nine, search ABJ Podcast and give us a subscribe with some reviews. Head over to the YouTube channel, hit subscribe. We're 10 away from 600, still grinding slowly up to that 1K. But thank you guys so much for the continued support. We'll be back later on this week, this Thursday. We'll be talking to the other half of Diamond City War Machines, Brad DeMeo, for the podcast. Then we'll be talking to High Ground star Nathaniel Cunningham, and then ending the month with the queen of independent wrestling, Mary Elizabeth. She's amazing, but I can't stand that Tommy Vex. I would never support him in a million years. I'm wearing his shirt. But yeah. But thank you guys so much. And like I said, the new ABJ shirt is available. If you want to get the duct tape shirt, it is there. Huge thank you to Kai from the Discord for making that for me. I may have a new logo coming very, very soon. I will say it's very Skook inspired. So if you're from Schuylkill County, you will know 100% what this logo means. If you're not, it probably won't mean anything to you. I don't really sell much much merchandise anyway. So pretty much at this point, I'm just making it for me. But yeah, so 3 inspired Skook logos coming very, very soon. The entire month of April is booked up. So we went through the whole list the other day. No more people will be taken in the month of April. I think I made a Facebook post saying who's all there. So if you want to go check it out on Facebook, you can check that out. But Eric, once again, thank you for your time, brother. We'll see you guys next time. Here's some music by Billy Trey, and we'll see you on Thursday with Brad DeMeo.